Cricket is my passion and I cannot avoid it.
Beaten by pace and bounce, England has once again got into the lead after beating India comprehensively in the 30-20 to go 2-1 up. I have Gurkirat as well as Naresh and will be joined by Dia soon. So my first question to you, Naresh, pace and bounce, India can't handle?
Yeah, and it looked like, if you take the first and this T20, Mark Wood has made the difference. And India, the concerning point is when put into bat is looking a completely a different side when compared to chasing. So the pace and bounce definitely impacting, and the failure of the three established openers which we have tested in these three games. So lots to be looked into and assessed or reassessed before going into the game.
All right. Gurkirat, we discussed about it earlier also, but I want to ask Rahul's form. Do we still continue with him?
Yes. His form has been terrible. Let's not make any mistake about it. Scores of 1-0-0 don't read well on any batsman, be it KL Rahul, Virat Kohli, or anyone. So his form has obviously been poor, but you have to back him for the skills that he have. I feel that when it comes to playing raw pace and playing leg spin, with which teams tie down other teams and restrict the opening batsman or middle order batsman, that is where he stands apart from the other Indian batsmen, say apart from Virat Kohli, of course. So uh, that is one of the reasons why he should be bagged. I'm sure that they're under a lot of pressure because they also want to try out the other players. Surya Kumar Yadav played the second T20I but didn't get any game time. So they also have to try and be justified and be equal towards everyone. But I think that KL Rahul deserves this backing. Also, let's not forget he's coming back of an injury. He had a wrist injury in Australia, was ruled out for the two tests, and then he was when he was in the bio bubble, didn't play any game. I thought probably where Indian management missed a trick was that if they were not going to play him in the test matches, they should have released him for the Vijay Hazare Trophy and give him game time. They could have done something similar for Mayank Agarwal as well, who's also not played in the last 3.5, 4 months and has only been traveling. So sometimes that can also have its effect where you lose all sorts of form that is there, and then you struggle the moment you are put on the park.
Okay. Welcome, Dia. How you been keeping?
Well, I'm good. Actually, I was having my exams, and because of that, I was not able to join quite a few podcasts. So, yeah, good to be back.
Well, India is having an exam, and I don't know what sort of message India is giving to Surya Kumar Yadav by dropping him.
Yeah, definitely. It was a shocker that in the second match he got a chance but couldn't get batting. And in the very third match he was dropped, and it was very shocking to see. And I don't know what was the thinking behind all of this, because Ishan Kishan was also, because all of this experimentation that has been happening, I don't know, like, I know it's very important going into the World Cup, but I think it's too much, and that might cost us the series as well, the way Ishan Kishan was pushed down to number 3, and Surya Kumar Yadav was dropped, Shreyas Iyer was coming in at 6, and Hardik Pandya at 7. So all these experimentations might make us lose the series. This is what I feel, and I think that Surya Kumar Yadav should have been persisted, knowing that he didn't even get a single ball to play in the second match. So I don't know what's the entire thinking process. So yeah, hoping for to see him back again for the fourth match.
I definitely want to ask this question to both of you, Naresh and Gurkirat. So first, Naresh, if you are Surya Kumar Yadav, how would you take this?
It is definitely disappointing, but I'm sure he would have this expectation at the back of the mind that he would definitely be given a chance again. And as you mentioned about KL Rahul, I still feel one game break would do a little better for him. We're playing alternate days. Not much for him to mentally try to look at things differently after so many failures, and that's the reason it didn't look good that Surya Kumar was dropped. But probably he does have the hopes that he would be given a chance in one of the remaining two games or the ODIs. But yeah, I think more than who is playing, I think it's the approach. Batting first, our approach, especially in the power play. In both the games, we have lost 3 wickets for just hardly 22 and 24. That needs to be sorted, more important than who is playing at what number. Because if we are going with a power pack side of six batsmen, we need to look at how the power play is played out. We can't depend on 6 and 7 to try to make up a few things and then we are short by 20-25 runs. Because if you compare to the England side, even they bat deep, but their openers have really given them the start in all the three games. And that is what we want, and one opener to give a good start, like how Ishan did in the second game. But it was a surprise to see Ishan open at the first place. So KL, Shikhar or Rohit Sharma, whoever starts again tomorrow, one of them have to go on beyond the power play to play along in.
Well, I'll come back to that later, Gurkirat, but since I've asked Dia and Naresh, how would you take the axing or probably to get Rohit in? You ask one guy who's not played, rather got a chance to bat, and ask him to sit out at the age of 30. How would you take it?
See, I wouldn't call it axing as such because he's still a part of the squad. It is unfortunate and it's a little unlucky, but who would you've dropped? I probably thought I anyway think that going in with 5 bowlers is not something which is sustainable. These pitches are such that because the ball is gripping a little bit, India is sort of trying their luck and it is coming off. But you won't have just Ahmedabad type wickets where the ball is going to, sort of grip and, allow the batsman to manufacture shots rather than playing through the line. So anyway, India are playing one batsman extra and they need to compensate for it. I think that, the way Shreyas Iyer is being managed and being played, so he came out to bat at number 6 yesterday, which is probably 3 positions down than his best position. And there is no use of playing someone like him over there. Maybe they could have sort of given him a rest and tried Surya Kumar Yadav because he's also done that role previously for KKR. With someone, I wouldn't say he was pretty successful at it, but he was decent while doing that role for KKR. So India could have explored that one option as well, rather than have Shreyas Iyer playing at 6 and waste a player because you are not going to best out of him anyway while playing at 6. And if you ideally you should be playing a bowler. I keep repeating, and I said it in the first game as well. This is a pitch which is crying out for a Navdeep Saini to play. We are seeing what Mark Wood is doing and what English pacers with their extra pace are doing. They are just bowling back of length and not giving the Indian batsman the opportunity to drive through the line. And we have someone like a Navdeep Saini whose natural length is bowling back of length. If you've seen him in the IPL, he doesn't bowl full really. He's always bowling a 3/4 length. So you can easily do the same and probably try it out. Maybe might as well if you want to play 5 bowlers only, rotate one of the bowlers, maybe play a Navdeep Saini in place of Shardul Thakur and try that option, because we have seen on countless occasions that pace is pace. Right from the third test that has been played on this Ahmedabad stadium, we have seen extra pace and bounce making a difference. We saw that in the third test with the pink ball, where someone like an Akshar Patel and Root were much more successful. We saw that in the fourth test as well, where Ben Stokes was extracting a lot of bounce. And then we have seen what Mark Wood has done in the 2 T20 as has played. And even, if you saw Ishan Kishan's dismissal as well yesterday, he was also hurried on by Chris Jordan. So I am surprised why we are not trying that option at all. It just seems that Navdeep Saini is being carried around, and we don't know how to make the best use of it. Asking Hardik Pandya to bowl 4 overs is a very risky territory. He doesn't bowl 4 overs even for Mumbai Indians. Even when he was bowling, even when he was fit. I'm not talking of the last season where he didn't bowl at all. But if you look back at the 2019 season or the 2018 season, you didn't see him bowl 4 overs very often. It was either a 2 over or a 3 over spell, depending upon how things are going. Luckily, how Hardik is shaping up is that his pace is increasing with every game. But we shouldn't be, putting so much pressure on him to give you 4 overs consistently. That is again a bad usage. It is not his fault if he's, being asked to bowl the tough overs, because he's not done it enough. So that is one area where India can work upon, and they really need to sort of fix this muddle as to how many anchors are enough. You already have the best anchor in the world in Virat Kohli. You don't need copies of it. You need players who can complement his style of play, who can obviously take, even when there's a collapse, who can obviously take the pressure out of him. Because yesterday we saw that for the first 15 overs, Virat Kohli was 28 of 29 because he wanted to hold on to his wicket. You needed someone else to attack around you, which is the Rishabh Pant had just started to do, but unfortunately he got run out. So at that point, expecting Shreyas Iyer to do that role is unfair to him, and is something which I'd say is just downright poor planning.
Yeah, like Gurkirat mentioned, the selection looks to be confused. They don't know what they want to do, whether they want to prepare for the World Cup or they want to win the series. So what you would do for the fourth game?
Well, of course, there's a lot of confusion regarding what is what kind of role we want to give to that one particular player, because we are seeing our bowling is also looking so weak right now. Bhuvneshwar Kumar, although he has been economical, but he hasn't picked any wicket in these 3 matches. Who is apparently our prime bowler among all of them, and Yuzvendra Chahal as well among the spinners. We expected a lot from him, although he got a wicket in the start, but he couldn't capitalize and was hit for runs by Joss Butler. So I think our bowling looks very weak. So I definitely agree that the way we saw Mark Wood was bowling, the way the pace that he got, the swing, the bounce, everything was there on the track. So I think seeing all of this, Navdeep Saini should definitely make his way instead of Shardul Thakur, because he couldn't give us the results that we would have needed from him. So I think Shardul Thakur must be replaced with Navdeep Saini, knowing that he carries that extra pace. So if Mark Wood is someone who bowls at 145 plus, then Navdeep Saini is that bowler for us, according to me. So he can give us the kind of results that we would want. So I think among the bowlers, Navdeep Saini definitely has to come, and I see Surya Kumar Yadav also coming in for Shreyas Iyer maybe.
Okay, Naresh, would you pick 6 bowlers or would you go with the 5 bowlers?
6 bowlers definitely needed, but it doesn't seem that would be the plan going in for the rest of the games. Maybe change in the bowlers, but what is happening is even your top order is not doing well enough in the power play, and neither are the bowlers getting you wickets in power play. And most important, who has to bowl in the power play? That's becoming also a concern. So as Dia and Gurpreet, there are a lot of experiments happening, and too much of it is happening, to be honest. You played Akshar in the first game in the power play. Then you had Washington bowl, who is a regular power play bowler, but only when India was to chase bowling first was Washington used. Yesterday again we saw Chahal coming into bowl in the power play. So there itself, what is the actual strategy is coming unknown, and there is a lot of experimentation happening. But on the bowlers front, I think India will still go ahead with 5. Maybe a change. Maybe we won't see Shardul Thakur play tomorrow, because not only the bowling or the batting at the top order, it is also the fielding that is a concern. And we saw Shardul and Chahal very average yesterday. We are not kind of convinced or confident enough of what the strategy is of the management. But tomorrow's game should be played as a knockout game, because you would like to go into the last game 2-all. So let's look at what they would do to pick the best they feel would at least get a win, because toss is not in anyone's hands. We want to even again bat first and at least have a decent score on the board, which we haven't done in the last 2 occasions when we have batted first.
Gurkirat, Naresh said we need to take it to the last game, even if we bat first. For example, we lose a toss. What do you do with Washington Sundar? One match, he bowls in the 12th over, then bowls in the power play, then again bowls. I don't know which over he bowled yesterday, even forgot about it. Are we seeing again Virat Kohli back to his usual RCB captaincy style?
I think for once in the bowling department, he should have stuck with the RCB captaincy, because for RCB, Yuzvendra Chahal doesn't bowl in the power play. It's Washington Sundar. I think sometimes I completely agree that you need to understand the matchups. Probably the thinking was that you want to bowl a spinner who takes the ball away from Joss Butler, or because both of them were right-handers, Jason Roy and Joss Butler. But that would have worked for a leg spinner who usually bowls in the power play, not Yuzvendra Chahal, because Yuzvendra Chahal is much more traditional. He likes to flight the ball and give it a little bit air. And when you're going to bowl it slower through the air, you're going to allow players like Josh Butler to come down the track and hit you. So, and we saw this, that it's not that Washington Sundar cannot bowl to right-handers in the power play or in general, because he did that in the first game and he got two right-handers out. He got a Johnny Bairstow out and he got a Jason Roy out. And his pace variation was brilliant because he figured that the English batsmen are going to come after him. So he consistently bowled above 100 kilometers per hour. I think his top speed was 110 that day and his average was around 100. But the wickets that he got were of deliveries which were bowled at 85 kmph and 95 kmph. So he understands, how to vary his pace. It's not just, just darting it around, which is why regardless of who is batting, whether it's a right-hander or a left-hander, you need to trust Washington Sundar to do the job in the power play because he has the skill set to do it and he does it time and time again. He takes up that pressure, he repeats it, so he knows the process to do it. With Yuzvendra Chahal, because he's more used to flighting the ball, taking it away and beating the batsman in flight, him bowling in the power play with only two fielders outside is not going to end well because he relies on those fielders in the deep to take those catches and create those chances. What he was doing yesterday, because he knew he didn't have any protection, he was flighting it on the stumps. So batsmen were having even more easier. And when you have a Josh Butler reverse sweeping you are anyway going to lose all of your plans. So a little bit of credit should also go to Josh Butler because he realized the threat that a Yuzvendra Chahal will pose on the switch and went after him straight away from the first ball itself. So of course the move went wrong, but we also have to give credit to Josh Butler a little bit. And what Dia said about Shardul, I don't particularly agree with that because Shardul has been brilliant with this change of pace. He has realized that the pitch is going to grip and the shot making is going to be difficult, and he's varied his pace brilliantly. Even Bhuvi, even though hasn't taken that many wickets, but the positive sign which I said before the T20I series will be at what pace is he bowling and how is his rhythm. You see the rhythm is slowly coming back. His top speed in the first game was 135. In the second game, it was 140. Yesterday, it was 141. So that is a positive sign. And I said it before, I'm not too concerned about the result of this series as long as the weaknesses that India have are getting exposed, because they sort of save you for the 45 minutes of bad cricket that we have had in the knockout so far. I don't mind if India lose the toss or win the toss, but I want them to bat first in the next two games and challenge themselves. These bilaterals, we have won enough. What matters right now is how we are preparing and shaping up ourselves for the World T20 6 months from now. And if anything that helps us identify those weaknesses in the bilaterals, so be it. You don't want yourselves to be stuck in a scenario in a World T20 game, which is a knockout, where you don't know what to do because you haven't faced that. So if you ask me, this England T20I series has been a blessing in disguise for the Indian team management because it has identified the issues and the gaps that are there in the strategy and the gameplay. So far, whatever India have been doing at home while playing T20s is opt to go win the toss, opt to chase, get the opposition to a restrictive score and chase that. But now they are being challenged, and it is very interesting to see how they are going to sort of adapt to it.
Okay. Dia, we were talking about Washington Sundar. I believe Virat Kohli sometimes get into that memory loss. I remember even in the IPL, used to forget to get Washington Sundar when required to go in the power play. Uske baare mein, of course, we are going to discuss about Virat Kohli's captainship after the series before the World Cup, because now I think we are too late to probably switch over the captainship. You did mention about Saini coming in for Shardul.
Yeah.
Now, my problem is not only Shardul. My question, I want to come back to Chahal, like we said, that because he's bowling in the power play. But I believe Chahal is going in the same direction. And I can foresee that as Kuldeep went. What I'm trying to say here is there was a time when Kuldeep was your match winner in the T20 format or the white ball 50 over format, along with Chahal. And if you see the last 2 years, we can't see Kuldeep anywhere. In fact, even his franchise doesn't give him enough games. And going by what Chahal has had at least in the international format, okay, he's done well for the RCB. Unfortunately, he's been bleeding runs, 40, 45 runs, barring that one Australia game. What would you like to say on Chahal?
Well, definitely, but recently he just got to this, record of getting six. He was the fastest to get 60 T20I wickets for India. But again, although he is that wicket taking bowler for us, of course, at the expense of runs, we have seen that. But of course, we always miss the combination of kulcha, as we say, because in 2017 and 18 when they were being introduced, the batsmen were not able to read them. Like whenever they got that bounce and that spinning track, they always cashed in on that to get wickets for us in the middle overs, and that were actually they were famous for that. They're going to give us wickets in the middle over, and that was happening, and we were very happy. But then Kuldeep went out of form, and then he was dropped, and I guess that kulcha combination was when it was just broken. Chehal's performance also, we saw a bit of downfall in international cricket. And again, in these two matches as well, he leaked so much amount of runs. But do we have any other option? Do we see any other leg spinner, replacing him and taking his place? I don't see that apparently. So I think if we persist with Chahal as of now, because he has got that experience, he has been that match winner for us. So I think he should still be given that chance, because I can't rely on finger spinners all the time. We have seen the consequences of it in the 2017 Champions Trophy. Because of that only we shifted to leg spinners. And in T20 cricket, it's really important to have leg spinners because of the variations that they bring in. So why not persist with Chahal, him being an experienced and a match winner player for us? So I think he still should be given more chances to get back in form.
I want to show you what Chahal does after getting hit for a six. This is what he does.
Yeah.
I don't know what is he trying to show to Virat Kohli whenever he gets for a hit for a six or a four, without taking a shot at Chahal. But I believe his confidence is going down. Naresh, your views about Chahal?
Yeah, and I think we spoke on the previous show. Jadeja coming in would definitely change the dynamics of the side, and maybe we won't see Chahal in this 11. But yeah, as of the remaining games remaining, we may see him because Tavatia is not cleared yet. If he gets cleared, maybe we get Tavatia to see play one game. But I feel Chahal is really low on confidence. He's actually trying to bowl much quicker in the air, and that is something which he needs to relook at. He wasn't trying to do that in the last IPL. He was trying to bowl more flighted deliveries, little slower, and he was getting benefit out of it. So he's lost his variations. He's running in fast, and obviously the fielding has been quite average also. So I think when Jadeja is back in, I think the entire, at least the bowling dynamics is going to change, and maybe Washington Sundar and Jadeja would be more preferred to start.
Gurkirat, we spoke a lot about Chahal. I just want to ask you again. Toss is going to decide. I know, even though you said that no matter what, India wins the toss, India should bat first. But this is going to happen in the knockout. So you are saying that India should be ready for it. But let's presume if India wins the toss, why not go for that kill and beat England and come out as winners? Why are you sticking to that point that irrespective of the result, what the series decides, we need to be ready for that 45 minutes of bad play? Because India has been probably targeting the power play, and where they seems to be thinking that no, we have to score 50. We could have probably seen of Jofra Archer and Wood and had been 44, no loss of 40 for 1.
You will see the problem, like I said, is that if you are going to put up a par score, this England side is going to chase it. So you have to get better at what you are struggling right now. There is no harm in going for the kill, but the thing is that you want to see the long-term benefit. You'll win the game if you win the toss and you choose. You give yourself a better chance of winning the game. But have you really improved? That is what should be the question right now, and that is something that the team should be looking to answer itself. Because even if you see the records of a Rohit and a Kohli, they are not great while batting first. Kohli himself identifies that it is something that they've been struggling so far. So might as well use every opportunity to improve. Because see, it's not that the T20I rankings are something which are very prestige and they matter. At the end of the day, everyone remembers the world titles that you have won. So you have to shape your side accordingly. And as far as this Chahal discussion is concerned, like I said, I think, he's not a power play bowler. He's being attacked and he's not, coming up with options that he should be coming up with. But I don't think that it's got anything to do with Kuldeep not playing, because if you see the numbers of Chahal without Kuldeep, they are better than they are with Kuldeep. For Kuldeep, it doesn't work because Kuldeep is even more slower through the air, so he needs someone to keep the pressure on the other end. Also, the thing with wrist spin or any kind of spin is you are going to get worked out eventually at some stage. That happens with every spinner. It is how you respond to when teams are playing you better is what makes you great or a better spinner than what others is. It's not that Rashid Khan hasn't had a bad IPL or hasn't been found out. He's been found out, but then he's rediscovered himself. Even Anil Kumble got found out. Shane Warne also did. So that is a process of becoming becoming a better spinner than what you already are. And in today's world, every bowler, every mystery spinner, every kind of pacer, every batsman is going to found out eventually because of the technology that is there at our hands. Because all teams can analyze, watch your videos, see what you do, what are the telltale signs of when you are going to bowl a googly, when are you going to bowl a leg spin. And now that I've mentioned googly, the biggest surprise for me in these 3 games with Chahal is that he's not bowled the googly. And this was something that he had developed in the IPL 2020 and got reasonable amount of success with it. Why he hasn't bowled it is something that needs to be asked, probably by the media if he comes for a press conference, or maybe the captain, as to what is happening and what is the particular reason why he's not bowling the googly.
I'll answer this question.
Yeah.
Just got married.
Diaz said that leg spinners, are in demand because they have variations. But the biggest variation is bowling the googly. If they're not going to bowl the googly, then they're not going to do much different from a off spinner anyway, who have greater control and can bowl at greater pace. So it's a conundrum that needs to be solved. But I think there's enough time for it to be solved. There's the IPL as well, where he'll be directly under Kohli and they'll be able to figure out what is going wrong. And I still see him playing the World T20. I don't think there's any threat to his.
All right. Quickly, a couple of questions. Dia, KL Rahul to be dropped or playing tomorrow?
I don't think that he should be dropped. Still, although he might be low on confidence, but this is the time that he should be backed and should be shown that confidence. And if these 2 matches he deserves, it's not like he hasn't done anything in 3 matches, so he should be dropped. I know all these experimentation.
Wait, I'm sorry, I'm stopping in the middle. My second question I want to complete before you answer. So the question is, KL Rahul to be dropped or not? You said yes, he needs to be backed. This is the time. And do you want the series to be won or you want to experiment? So now you answer this question.
Again, I would say series, of course, series win is very important. But, right now we are not looking at the ICC rankings or anything. We want that World Cup title at the end because we haven't won anything since like 8 years. So I think seeing that title, these matches are really important. So I would definitely go on with the experimentations. And, as Gurkirat said that, you need to know what all faults and, everything that is there in your team that needs to be figured out so that, you go into the World Cup with a perfect full strength squad, knowing all your strengths and weaknesses. So I think rather than looking at the series, just go with the experiments and, extract as many match winners you can and, go with them ahead in the World Cup. So yeah, KL Rahul definitely is one among them. And if he gets that backing, so he might be that, match winner for us in the World Cup. So he should be back for the next 2 matches.
Okay, let me change the question to you, Naresh. Surya Kumar in or KL Rahul out? And 5 bowlers or 6 bowlers?
Yeah, for me, both. To be honest, yes, I have said it before also, and I stick to it that KL is a long-term investment for India. He would be back, and he is back, but currently he is going through such a lean patch. A 1-match break will help him mentally. Get Ishan back up to open with Rohit Sharma. Virat showed he's flexible. He came at number 4. Get in Surya at number 3 and continue with the same. Yeah, but unfortunately, though I would like to see 6 bowlers, I don't think that's happening. But maybe a change in the bowling lineup would definitely happen also. So that's because I would look at it that we should at least go and do all that we can to win the series.
Okay, Gurkirat, you have said we got to back KL Rahul. You said we got to win the toss and bat. Now my question is 6 bowlers or 5 bowlers?
Ideally, you want to play six bowlers, but like Naresh said, I don't see that changing. But I do want India to try out Navdeep Saini if they are going to play the same 11, rather go with
Navdeep Saini
the.
at the cost of whom?
Uh, uh, Let me rephrase. If they are going to, if they're going to have the same strategy that they are batting first or bowling first, I think they need to sort of play six bowlers. With Hardik being your sixth bowler, probably bring in a Navdeep Saini in place of Shreyas, or if you're not going to change your strategy, then bring in Surya. And if you think that he's not your top three pick, then try him as a finisher only, because at number 6 or number 7, you are wasting Shreyas Iyer. There is no point of having there unless he's batting in the top three. If I think even top four is one spot below his ideal position, but there is absolutely no gain of playing him at number 6. It's a waste. So if you want to play with the same 11 and same strategy, get in Surya Kumar Yadav at 6 and try him. And yeah, everything else remains the same. I'm really not bothered about the result of the series. I'll repeat it again. I just want them to figure out the players which they can for the positions and their skill sets, and I think that is going to be the biggest thing that India can take out of this series, because you're not going to play such high quality bowling each time. We've seen in Australia also didn't have this much of express pace. They had Daniel Sams who went for runs. They didn't even have Jai Richardson or Kylie Meredith. Another thing that this series is going to showcase the world is that even in subcontinent, extra pace will work. I won't be surprised that on the basis of this series only, Australia sort of try and nurture a Riley Meredith and a Jai Richardson for the World T20, because they have figured out what is the game plan to sort of choke India and make sure that their batsmen don't have a free hand, choke them with leg spin and with extra pace. So they really need to figure out this thing as to identify a batsman who can play extra pace and bounce and be comfortable against taking down leg spin. And I think the biggest thing or the biggest positive out of this series for the Indian side is they have realized that to take down leg spin you need left-handers in the lineup, because they struggled against leg spin in Australia as well, versus Adam Zampa and Swepson. And now we saw in the second game how Adil Rashid was treated, and that is how the approach should be against playing any kind of spin. If you have an off spinner in the bowling lineup in the opposition, then send a right-handed batsman and ask him to go for it. And that is where Surya Kumar Yadav is the perfect pick, because he can not only take down off spin, he's very good with leg spin also. So they really need to try him out, and I wish and I hope that they sort of play him in the top 4 somewhere and see how he goes.
Okay, I've been asking questions on my page. Who's going to win the man of the match? So far, nobody has got it right. Even I have myself have got it wrong in all 3 games. So quickly, Dia, man of the match for tomorrow from either side. Who's going to win the man of the match tomorrow?
One
pick. You can't have 2.
Yeah, okay. I'll go with Kohli. No, Kohli. I'm gonna go with Kohli.
Naresh.
Rohit Sharma. Either way, is whether we bat first or bat second, we want to see a beginning from him.
Gurkirat.
He's
gone with Kohli. He's gone with Rohit. You?
Rishabh Pant or KL Rahul. I have a
one, guys.
Rishabh Pant. I'd ideally want KL Rahul to win it, get his confidence back, but
but then you cannot have the cake and eat it too. So when you say Rishabh Pant or you say KL Rahul, okay, as much as you want, ideally. Rishabh Pant, Rohit, and Virat. Am I right, Dia? Great. Lovely talking to you guys. Once again, extraordinary analysis by all 3 of you. And I hope we have a cracker of a game, not one-sided as we've seen in the first 3 games. Looking forward to catch you guys before the last T20. Take care.